Settle in now. Let the weight of your body find its peace with the surface beneath it. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breathing, a quiet rhythm in the stillness of your room, in and out, a slow, steady tide that has been with you all your life. As you close your eyes, the world of light and form dissolves, and you are left in a soft, welcoming darkness. This darkness is not an absence, it is a presence, it is a canvas. And it is here, in a darkness very much like this one, that our story begins. Before the first star ever opened its eye, before the first galaxy learned to swirl in its cosmic dance, there was a darkness that filled everything. A profound, unbroken, and patient night. We call this time the cosmic dark ages, but it was not a time of emptiness. It was a time of immense potential, a universe holding its breath. Let your mind drift back with me, past all the familiar lights of human history, past the age of dinosaurs, past the formation of our Earth and our Sun. We are going further, to a time when the universe itself was young, a mere infant of 400,000 years. It seems ancient to us, but for the cosmos, it was the very first morning, just moments after its birth in the great, fiery event of the Big Bang. The fire has cooled now, the initial, blinding light of creation has faded, stretched out by the expansion of space until it is no longer light, but a gentle, pervasive warmth. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. It is the cosmic microwave background, a faint residual glow that permeates all of space, like the lingering heat from a fire that has just gone out. It is the universe's first echo. Feel it now, a soft, even temperature bathing everything in a uniform calm. There are no hot spots, no cold shadows, just a perfect, peaceful equilibrium. In this vast, dark nursery, there is no up or down, no center and no edge. There is only a fine ethereal mist that fills all of existence. This mist is made of the simplest things. It is mostly hydrogen, the first and most fundamental atom, the universe's firstborn child, a single proton, a single electron, endlessly patient. With it, a little helium, and something else. Something mysterious. Drifting alongside the hydrogen and helium is something your eyes could never see. Even if there were light to see it by, it is dark matter. It does not shine, it does not reflect, it does not interact with the familiar world. It is the quiet, unseen majority. Imagine it not as a substance, but as a presence, a silent guardian of the cosmos. It is a gravitational whisper, a subtle heaviness woven into the fabric of space itself. It does not clump or collide like the hydrogen atoms do. It simply is. Its gravity is a gentle, patient hand that will, over immense spans of time, begin to shape the cosmos. But for now, it is just part of the calm, part of the homogeneous sea. Breathe in. You are floating in this primordial soup. Breathe out. The mist is all around you, so evenly distributed that every direction you look is precisely the same. It is a state of near-perfect symmetry, a universe in a deep, meditative trance. There is no sound, for there is not yet enough density for sound to travel. There is only the deep, resonant silence of possibility. A silence that contains the blueprint for every star, every planet, every living thing that will ever be. You are in the quiet before the music begins, but near perfect is not perfect. And in that tiny imperfection, our story finds its seed. If you could listen with senses far beyond our own, you would perceive the tiniest of ripples in this smooth ocean of matter. They are called quantum fluctuations. Think of them as the universe dreaming, tiny fleeting variations in density, born from the chaotic energy of the Big Bang itself. In one direction, a few more atoms of hydrogen are gathered. By chance, a pocket of mist infinitesimally thicker than the mist around it. In another, a region is slightly more sparse. These are not yet structures. They are whispers, faint murmurs in the dark, so subtle that the difference in density from one place to another is less than 1 part in 100,000. If the universe were a perfectly smooth sphere the size of the Earth, these fluctuations would be no taller than a few feet. They are almost nothing, but in the patient, quiet expanse of the cosmos, almost nothing is enough. It is everything, because the silent guardian, dark matter, feels these whispers. Its gravity, faint as it is, begins to act upon them. Where there is a slightly denser pocket of hydrogen, the gravitational pull of the dark matter within and around it is also slightly stronger. It is an invitation, not a command. A gentle, persistent beckoning. Imagine holding your hand perfectly still in a pool of water filled with fine dust. At first, nothing happens, but if you wait, the tiny random currents of the water will eventually cause a few grains of dust to cluster together. Once they do, their combined mass, tiny as it is, creates a gravitational field that is slightly stronger than the field of a single grain. It begins to attract other grains. The process is impossibly slow, almost imperceptible. This is what is happening all around you, in the cosmic dark. The universe is not rushing. It has all the time in the world. For millions of years, this process continues in the profound silence. The slightly denser regions, guided by the unseen hand of dark matter's gravity, begin to pull in more and more material. The hydrogen atoms drift slowly, inexorably, towards these gathering points. The process is a feedback loop of the most epic proportions. More matter creates more gravity. More gravity pulls in more matter. The universe is beginning to curdle, like milk gently turning to cheese. The perfect smoothness is slowly, gracefully breaking. The whispers are becoming conversations. The conversations are beginning to form communities. Feel the shift. The perfect equilibrium is giving way to something new. The deep, meditative trance is being stirred by the first hints of intention. The universe is beginning to build. It is sketching out its own future, not with light, but with gravity, not with action, but with a patient, irresistible pull. You are still in the dark. No star has yet been lit. The great dawn is still millions of years away. But the preparations have begun. The stage is being set. The actors, the atoms of hydrogen and helium, are being drawn from the wings. The silent, invisible stagehands of dark matter and gravity are arranging the scene. Rest here, in this moment of transition. The peace is still profound, the silence still deep, but it is no longer a static silence. It is a silence filled with a growing tension, a gathering of purpose. The universe has taken its first slow, deep breath and is now beginning its long, slow exhale, an exhale that will eventually ignite the stars. The even, uniform mist is gone. In its place, something else is taking shape. Vast, interconnected, Filaments of matter are beginning to form, stretching across the cosmos like a great, invisible web. The empty spaces between them are growing emptier, their matter siphoned off to feed these growing structures. The universe is no longer a smooth sea, but a network. A grand and intricate scaffolding is being built in the dark. You are resting at the edge of a new kind of cosmos, a universe that has just learned to draw its first breath and is now, in the stillness, beginning to reveal its shape. We ended in the presence of a question, hanging in the profound and patient. Dark, a grand and intricate scaffolding is being built. But what is this scaffolding for, and what will be built upon it? Let your mind settle on that image, a scaffold. In our world, a scaffold is a temporary skeleton, a frame upon which something lasting is built, a cathedral, a bridge, a work of art. The cosmic scaffold is no different. It is the universe sketching its own masterpiece in the dark. It is the blueprint for everything that is to come. This scaffolding is the cosmic web, and it is woven from the most mysterious thread imaginable, dark matter. The silent guardian we met before is no longer just a passive presence. It has become the chief architect of the cosmos, because it does not feel the pressure or the heat of normal matter. It can collapse under its own gravity without resistance, forming long, delicate filaments and dense, compact knots. It is weaving a net to catch the light. Imagine, if you will, that you can see this web. It stretches in every direction, filling the whole of space. It is not chaotic. It has a beautiful, organic structure, like the veins of a leaf, the branching of a tree's roots, or the intricate network of neurons in a dreaming brain. There are vast, thick highways of it, and tiny, meandering backroads. These are the filaments. They twist and curve through the darkness, connecting everything to everything else. And where these filaments cross, where the great highways of dark matter intersect, there are massive, dense hubs. These are the nodes of the web. Now, let your awareness drift. You are no longer floating in a uniform mist. You are being guided by this invisible structure. Feel yourself drawn to one of the filaments. It is a river of gravity, and you are caught in its gentle, inexorable current. The hydrogen and helium atoms, the normal matter of the universe, are flowing along with you. They are passengers on this gravitational current, pulled from the emptier regions of space and funneled along these unseen pathways. The journey is slow, taking millions upon millions of years. There is no sound, no wind, only the persistent, silent pull. As you drift along this filament, you can feel the universe changing around you. The space just outside the filament is becoming clearer, emptier. These are the great cosmic voids. They are the vast, quiet spaces between the threads of the web, regions that have donated their matter to the construction of the great network. Let's take a moment to drift into one of these voids. Feel the current of gravity lessen until it is almost gone. Here, the silence is even deeper. The darkness is more profound. It is a place of immense peace and solitude. Looking out from the heart of a void, you would see the universe in its true, staggering scale. The filaments of the cosmic web would appear as distant, glowing walls, like the lights of a city seen from far out at sea. The voids are not empty, not truly, but they are the great deserts of the cosmos, places where the seeds of creation have been swept away to be planted in more fertile ground. They are beautiful in their emptiness, a necessary contrast to the richness that is gathering elsewhere. They are the quiet breaths between the universe's words. But our story is not in the voids. Our story is where the matter is. So let us return to the filament, to that gentle, gravitational river. Feel the current take hold again, pulling you along. You are traveling with the first atoms, the raw material of creation. All around you, the hydrogen mist is growing thicker. You are leaving the desert and entering the river valley. The density is increasing, but still, there is no light. The universe is still a realm of shadow and potential. The filament you are on is not alone. As you travel, you can sense other filaments approaching. Other rivers of matter are converging ahead. You are approaching an intersection. You are approaching one of the great nodes of the cosmic web. This is where the scaffolding is strongest. This is where the gravitational pull is most intense. It is a cosmic crossroads, a place where matter from countless different directions is destined to meet. Feel the pull intensify. The slow, gentle drift is becoming a more purposeful flow. The hydrogen gas around you is becoming compressed, not yet by its own weight, but by the sheer volume of matter arriving from all sides. These nodes are the jewels of the cosmic web. They are vast, sprawling congregations of dark matter, creating deep wells in the fabric of space-time. And into these wells, the hydrogen and helium of the universe are pouring, like water collecting in the lowest point of a landscape. Imagine a spider's web on a dewy morning. The dewdrops don't coat the threads evenly. They flow along the silk and gather in the joints, where the threads meet, forming heavy, glistening beads of water. The nodes of the cosmic web are just like this. They are the places where the primordial mist of the universe is condensing into the first great clouds. You have arrived now, at the heart of one of these nodes. You are inside a vast, swirling cloud of hydrogen gas, a cloud many thousands of light years across. It is denser here than anywhere else in the universe. But it is still, by our earthly standards, an almost perfect vacuum. It is just a whisper of a cloud, but it is a whisper with weight, a whisper with gravity. Rest here for a moment. Feel the immensity of this structure. You are inside a cradle, formed by an invisible force, a cradle that has gathered its contents from millions of light years away. For the first time since the Big Bang, matter is being brought together on a truly massive scale. The universe is no longer just a network. It is building its first cities. These great clouds are the primordial galaxies, the proto-galaxies, not yet shining, but gathering their citizens. The perfect, peaceful equilibrium of the universe's infancy is a distant memory. The cosmos is now a place of structure, of regions rich with matter and regions nearly empty. It has dimension. It has geography. And it has a future that is being written in these dense, dark clouds. The invisible scaffolding has done its job. It has overcome the universe's initial expansion on a local scale. It has gathered the raw materials. It has set the stage. The dark matter has built the theater. And now the actors, the atoms of hydrogen, are crowded onto the stage, waiting for the play to begin. The darkness is still absolute. The silence is still profound. But for the first time, there is a sense of pressure, a sense of community. The atoms within this great cloud are no longer isolated travelers in the cosmic dark. They are neighbors. They are beginning to interact, to jostle, to feel the collective presence of the whole. This great dark cloud of hydrogen is not static. It is churning slowly, swirling under the influence of its own immense gathering gravity. What happens inside such a cloud, when so much of the simplest substance in the universe is gathered into one place? What new story begins to unfold in its heart? We left our journey suspended in a question, resting in the heart of a vast, dark cloud. You are floating inside one of the first great gatherings of matter, a proto-galaxy cradled at the intersection of the cosmic web. The silence is deep, the darkness is complete, but for the first time, you feel the presence of community. The atoms of hydrogen, the universe's firstborn, are no longer lonely wanderers. They are neighbors in a nascent city of gas. And so we asked, what happens here? What new story begins to unfold? The story that unfolds is one of cooling and of falling. Let your awareness expand to feel the nature of this cloud. It is immense, stretching for thousands of light years, yet it is also incredibly diffuse, a mist far finer than any fog on Earth, and it is cool. Not cold in the way we think of ice or winter, but cool on a cosmic scale. The atoms here are not buzzing with frantic energy. They are moving slowly, gracefully, like dancers in a slow-motion waltz. This coolness is the secret to everything that comes next. As the atoms of hydrogen drift and occasionally bump into one another, they become slightly excited. The single electron orbiting the proton might jump to a slightly higher energy level. But this state is unstable, and the electron quickly falls back to its comfortable, resting state. As it falls back, it releases a tiny packet of energy, a photon of light. But this is not the kind of light that would illuminate the darkness. It is a low-energy, long-wavelength radio wave. It is a sigh of relief, a release of warmth into the void. Imagine a room full of ringing bells. Each time a bell is struck, it sings out its note, releasing its energy as sound until it becomes quiet again. These hydrogen atoms are like microscopic bells. Every gentle collision is a soft strike, and the radio wave they emit is their quiet, resonant note. By singing these quiet notes, the cloud is cooling itself down. It is radiating away its warmth, its kinetic energy, into the vast, empty space around it. It is exhaling its heat, becoming calmer, quieter, and more serene. This process is vital. In the universe, heat is pressure. Heat is the energy of motion that pushes things apart. For gravity to win, for the cloud to gather itself into something denser, it must first lose its heat. It must calm itself down. So, for millions of years, this is the cloud's primary work. A slow, patient, collective exhalation of warmth. A deep, cosmic meditation. Breathe with it. Feel the cloud around you, letting go of its energy. With every breath out, you release the tensions of your day. With every radio wave it emits, the cloud releases its own internal pressure. It is preparing itself for collapse. Not a violent, sudden implosion, but a gentle, graceful settling. As the cloud cools, the atoms move more slowly. The outward push of pressure begins to weaken, and the inward pull of gravity, which has been there all along, begins to assert its dominance. The cloud begins to contract. Feel this happening now. It is not a rush. It is a slow, almost imperceptible sinking. The entire vast structure is beginning to fall inward on itself. The atoms on the outer edges of the cloud feel the collective pull of all the atoms in the center, and they begin a journey that will take millennia. They are falling towards the heart of the cloud. You are falling with them. The space between the atoms is gradually, gently decreasing. The mist is becoming a fog. The fog is becoming a haze. A new kind of density is being born. This is not the compression of a force from the outside, but a willing surrender to a force from within. It is the cloud's own gravity, the sum of all its parts. Calling itself home, as the cloud contracts, it does not do so evenly. Just as the universe on a grand scale had tiny imperfections, this cloud has them too. Some regions, by pure chance, are slightly denser than others, tiny eddies in the slow, swirling flow. And it is in these slightly denser pockets that the story takes its next turn. Gravity is a champion of the rich. Where there is already more mass, the gravitational pull is stronger. These slightly denser pockets become focal points. They are the seeds of future stars. The hydrogen that is falling towards the center of the great cloud is also being drawn into these smaller, more intimate gatherings. Imagine a wide, slow river flowing across a plain. If there are small dips and hollows in the riverbed, the water will naturally pool there, swirling into eddies that are deeper and slower than the main current. The great cloud is this river, and these overdense regions are the hollows where the real action will begin. Let your awareness drift away from the grand overall collapse and focus on one of these smaller swirling pockets. It is a cloud within a cloud, a world within a world. Here, the density is growing much more rapidly. The process of cooling and collapsing is accelerating. This smaller cloud, perhaps only a few light years across, has its own center of gravity, its own sense of purpose. It is here that the building blocks of the first stars are being assembled. The simple, primordial gas of the Big Bang, mostly hydrogen, with a little helium, is all that exists. There are no complex molecules, no dust, no heavy elements. This is construction at its most fundamental level. The universe is learning to build with only one type of brick. This makes the process more difficult. In modern star-forming clouds, like the beautiful nebulae we see in our own Milky Way, dust and complex molecules are excellent coolants. They are like superefficient radiators, helping the gas to lose its heat quickly and collapse into stars. But here, in the beginning, there is no dust. There is only hydrogen. And hydrogen, while it can cool the cloud, is not nearly as efficient. This means the first collapsing clouds have to be much, much larger. They need an immense amount of mass to overcome their own internal heat and pressure. The first stars will not be born in small, cozy nurseries. They will be born from monsters from clouds containing hundreds, or even thousands, of times the mass of our own sun. You are inside one such monstrous, collapsing core. The density is now far greater than anything in the surrounding protogalaxy. The gentle falling has become a steady, determined inflow. You can feel the pressure building. The atoms are no longer just neighbors. They are being pressed together. In an ever-tightening crowd, the darkness is still absolute. The silence has been replaced by a feeling of immense, growing pressure. The universe is focusing its energy. It has taken a vast, diffuse cloud and found its heart. It has gathered its strength into a single, concentrated point. This small, dense, cool cloud of pure hydrogen is the direct ancestor of a star. It is not yet shining. It is not yet hot. It is a seed, planted in the fertile ground of a dark matter halo, watered by the flow of cosmic filaments, and now, finally, beginning to sprout in the dark. The gentle coalescence has led to this, a gathering of purpose so intense it is on the verge of becoming something new entirely. What happens when this cool, dark cloud of hydrogen becomes so dense that it can no longer cool itself? What happens when the falling stops, and the pressure becomes a fire? We left our story at a turning point, poised at the very edge of a new creation. We were deep inside a monstrous, collapsing cloud of pure hydrogen, a cloud that had gathered its purpose and focused its immense weight into a single, dense core. The gentle falling had become a determined inflow. The pressure was building. And we ended with a question born of this intensity. What happens when this cool, dark cloud becomes so dense that it can no longer cool itself? What happens when the falling stops, and the pressure becomes a fire? The answer begins not with a bang, but with a closing door. Let your awareness remain in the heart of this collapsing core. For millions of years, this cloud has been a blotto. Exhale its warmth. The gentle collisions of hydrogen atoms released their faint radio waves, their quiet sighs of relief, which radiated away into the void, keeping the cloud cool and allowing gravity to continue its work. But now, the cloud has become too crowded. The density at its center is so great that it has become opaque. The little sighs of heat can no longer escape. The door to the cold, empty space outside has been shut. Imagine you are in a crowded room on a cold day. At first, with only a few people, the room stays cool. But as more and more people gather, the collective warmth of their bodies is trapped. By the walls and the ceiling, the air grows warm, then hot. The room becomes its own self-contained environment, holding onto its own energy. This is what is happening in the heart of our cloud. It has become a room with no windows and no doors. Every bit of heat generated by the immense pressure of its collapse is now trapped inside, and so, for the first time, the core begins to warm. Feel this shift. The long, slow cooling has ended. A new era has begun. The gentle, graceful collapse. The inward falling of the hydrogen atoms does not stop. Gravity is still the master of this domain. But now, as the atoms fall, the energy of their motion, their kinetic energies, converted directly into heat. The pressure at the center builds to levels that are almost impossible to imagine. The atoms are squeezed together so tightly that they can no longer be thought of as a gas. They are becoming something new. This hot, dense, pressurized heart of the cloud is called a protostar. It is not yet a star. It is an embryo. It is a promise of a fire to come. It is a pocket full of gravity, a place where the universe's fundamental force of attraction is battling against the fierce, outward push of rising temperature and pressure. Let your mind rest inside this protostar. The darkness is no longer absolute. The core is beginning to glow, not with the brilliant, sharp light of a true star, but with a dull, deep, angry red, the color of a cooling ember. This light is born not of nuclear fusion, but of pure heat. The protostar is shining simply because it is incredibly hot, but this light is trapped. It cannot escape the dense, swirling cocoon of gas that still surrounds the core. It is a secret, inner dawn, a light for itself alone. The process of falling continues. The protostar at the center is the seed, but the rest of the vast cloud is still collapsing around it. Great streams of hydrogen gas, pulled from the outer layers of the cloud, are now raining down onto the surface of this glowing embryonic core. This process is called accretion. It is how a protostar grows. Imagine a blacksmith forging a piece of iron. They heat the metal until it glows, then place it on the anvil and strike it with a hammer. Each blow adds energy, compressing the metal and keeping it hot. The streams of falling gas are gravity's hammer. Each atom that crashes onto the protostar's surface is a tiny blow, adding its mass and its energy to the core, compressing it further, making it hotter and denser. But do not picture this as a violent, chaotic storm. It is a process of immense power, but also of immense patience. It is a steady, rhythmic inflow, a cosmic heartbeat, a constant feeding of the nascent star. Feel this rhythm now, the steady, persistent rain of matter onto the growing core, a pulse of gravity, a pulse of heat, in and out, a slow, powerful breath that is building a star. With every passing moment, with every atom that joins the core, the protostar becomes more massive, and as its mass increases, its gravity becomes even more powerful. The pocket of gravity is becoming deeper, its pull more irresistible. It pulls in the surrounding gas with even greater efficiency. The process feeds itself, accelerating over thousands of years. The temperature at the very center of the protostar is climbing steadily, from a few hundred degrees to thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands of degrees. It is hotter now than the surface of many modern stars, yet the true fire has not yet been lit. This is all the work of gravity. It is the pure physics of compression. The universe is demonstrating its most fundamental magic, that if you squeeze something enough, it will become a light. Let your awareness settle in the very center of this core. The pressure here is beyond anything we can experience on Earth. It is the weight of 1,000 suns, all pressing down on a single point. The hydrogen atoms are stripped of their electrons, creating a new state of matter called a plasma, a sea of free-roaming protons and electrons, crushed together in an energetic, incandescent soup. They are moving with incredible speed, ricocheting off one another in a frantic high-energy dance. They are pushed apart by their positive electric charges, repelling each other with a powerful force. For now, this repulsion is strong enough to keep them from getting too close. It is a barrier, a final line of defense against the crushing force of gravity. But gravity is relentless. The accretion continues. The mass grows. The pressure builds. The temperature climbs. 1 million degrees, 2 million, 5 million degrees. The dance of the protons becomes more and more frantic. They are being forced closer and closer together, their electrical repulsion screaming in protest. The protostar has become a crucible, a place of ultimate transformation. It has gathered the simplest substance in the universe and, through the sheer force of its own weight, has forged it into something on the verge of miraculous. The gentle, cool, dark cloud of hydrogen is a distant memory. In its place is a glowing, seething sphere of plasma, balanced on a knife's edge. The outward push of thermal pressure and electrical repulsion is now almost perfectly matched by the inward crush of gravity. The protostar has found a temporary, fragile equilibrium. It can no longer contract easily. It is a thing unto itself, a self-luminous object, warming its cradle from the inside out. Rest here. In this moment of intense, balanced potential, you are witnessing the final moments of the universe's long, dark night. The stage is set. The actors are in place. The energy has been gathered. The entire cosmos seems to be holding its breath, waiting for this single, tiny point in its vastness to finally tip the scale. The heart of the protostar is nearing the magic number, 10 million degrees at that temperature. The frantic dance of the protons becomes so energetic that their repulsion can no longer keep them apart. What happens in that instant? What new force is unleashed when two of the universe's fundamental building blocks are finally, violently forced to touch? We rest now on the cusp of creation, held in the final, silent moment before the dawn. You are in the heart of a protostar, a crucible of plasma balanced on a knife's edge. The weight of 1,000 suns presses inward, and the core temperature is climbing past 9 million degrees, nearing the magic number. The protons of hydrogen, the universe's simplest children, are dancing in a frantic, high-energy frenzy, their electrical repulsion the only thing holding them apart. We ended with a question that hangs in this superheated air. What happens in that instant? What new force is unleashed when two of the universe's fundamental building blocks are finally, violently, forced to touch? The answer is everything. 10 million degrees. The threshold is crossed. In the heart of the core, two protons, moving with unimaginable velocity, are slammed together by the relentless crush of gravity. Their electrical repulsion, the force that has kept them apart for the entire history of the universe, screams in defiance. It is a wall of pure force. But at this temperature, at this pressure, it is a wall that can be broken. For an instant, the two protons are so close that another force, a force you have never felt but which holds the very fabric of reality together, can take over. It is called the strong nuclear force. It is the most powerful force in nature, but it acts only across the tiniest of distances, the space within an atomic nucleus. It is a cosmic secret, a fundamental attraction that is usually hidden, locked away. But here, in this stellar core, the secret is revealed. The strong force reaches out, seizes the two protons, and binds them together. The wall is not just broken, it is annihilated. And in that union, a miracle occurs. One of the protons transforms. It becomes a neutron, releasing a positron and a neutrino. The two particles are now bound together as a new, heavier nucleus, deuterium, an isotope of hydrogen. They have fused, and in that act of fusion, a tiny fraction of their combined mass is not needed. It vanishes, and it is reborn as pure energy. It is the universe's most profound equation, written not in chalk but in fire. Mass and energy are two faces of the same coin. The lost mass is converted into a flash of light, a gamma-ray photon of incredible power. A spark dot. This is not the dull red glow of heat. This is a new kind of light, born from a new kind of fire. It is the fire of the stars. Feel that first spark. A single, tiny point of fusion in the vastness of the core, but it is not alone. All around it, other protons are being forced together. the first spark becomes two, to become four. A chain reaction begins, a wave of fusion that sweeps through the core in an instant. The heart of the protostar ignites. A new pressure is born, a pressure of light. This is radiation pressure, the outward force exerted by the countless trillions of gamma-ray photons being created in the core every second. It is a force of unimaginable power, a tidal wave of pure energy pushing outwards from the center. And for the first time, gravity has met its match. The slow, inexorable collapse that has been happening for millions of years comes to a halt. The inward crush of gravity is now perfectly, beautifully balanced by the outward explosion of light from the fusion core. The star is no longer an embryo. It is no longer a protostar. It has taken its first breath. It is stable. It is born. The universe has a new star, the first star. Let your awareness rest in this newfound equilibrium. It is a moment of profound peace after a long and arduous birth. The star has settled into its life's work, turning hydrogen into helium, turning mass into light. It is a self-sustaining engine, a beacon of stability in the vastness of space. But the light, the glorious, powerful light born in the core, is not yet free. It has its own journey to take. Imagine you are one of these gamma-ray photons, born in the heart of the star. You are pure energy, traveling at the speed of light. Your path is straight, for a fraction of a millimeter. And then you collide with a proton or an electron in the dense plasma. You are absorbed, and for a moment, you cease to exist. The particle that absorbed you is energized, and it almost instantly releases a new photon, of slightly less energy, in a completely random direction. This is your new existence. A frantic, random walk. A cosmic pinball machine. You travel a microscopic distance, are absorbed, re-emitted, and sent off in a new direction. Left, right, forwards, backwards. You may spend years moving deeper into the star before a chance collision sends you back towards the surface. Your journey is not a straight line, but a staggering, drunken walk through the dense interior of the star. This process, this endless scattering, is what keeps the star from exploding. The light's energy is released slowly, gradually, working its way out from the core. It is also what transforms the light. The powerful, dangerous gamma rays of the core are gradually converted, through countless absorptions and re-emissions, into lower energy photons, X-rays, then ultraviolet light, and finally, visible light. For thousands of years, this journey continues. The light born in the core slowly, painstakingly, makes its way to the surface. It is a river of energy, flowing from the hot, dense center to the cooler outer layers, and then, one day, one of the photons, perhaps a descendant of that very first spark 100,000 years ago, makes its final leap. It is emitted by an atom near the star's surface, and this time, there is nothing in its way. The plasma is thin enough here. The path is clear. The photon breaks free. It streams away from the star, unimpeded, traveling at the speed of light into the cold, dark space beyond. It is joined by trillions upon trillions of others, a wave of brilliant, white-hot light flooding out in all directions. The star opens its eye, and the universe is changed forever. For the first time, there is true light in the cosmos, not the faint, residual glow of the Big Bang, but the fierce, focused, brilliant light of a star. The cosmic dark ages, in this one small corner of the universe, have ended. Let this first light wash over you. It is pure, unfiltered starlight, born of the simplest atoms, traveling through a universe that has never known a shadow. It illuminates the swirling cocoon of gas still surrounding the star, setting it ablaze in a glorious nebula. It streams past the dark matter halo that cradled it, and out into the great filaments of the cosmic web. It is a declaration, a statement, that gravity's patient work has borne fruit, that the universe is no longer just a place of quiet potential, but a place of active, brilliant creation. This light has been traveling for over 13 billion years to reach you now, to greet you in the quiet of your rest. It is the oldest light you will ever know. It carries the memory of a universe that was young, simple, and pure. Feel its ancient warmth. It is the light of a giant, a star 1,000 times more massive than our sun, burning with an intensity we can barely comprehend. A star made of nothing but the primordial hydrogen and helium of the Big Bang. What is it like to be such a star? To burn so brightly, so furiously? What is the life and the fate of such a magnificent, lonely giant? We ended our last chapter bathed in the light of a newborn star, a magnificent, lonely giant that had just opened its eye upon a universe that had never known light. We were left with a question, a sense of wonder about this new being. What is it like to be such a star, to burn so brightly, so furiously? What is the life and the fate of such a magnificent, lonely giant? To be this star is to be a titan. It is to be a being of almost incomprehensible scale and power. Our own sun, the star that warms your world, is a thing of immense size, 1,000,000 times larger than the Earth. But this first star, this pioneer of the light, makes our sun look like a tiny, flickering candle. It is hundreds, perhaps 1,000 times more massive. It is a king, an emperor, a god of a star. Let your awareness feel its scale. If this star were placed where our sun is, it would not just fill the sky. It would swallow the inner planets whole. Its surface would extend far beyond the orbit of Earth. It is not a gentle warmth. It is a roaring, world-consuming furnace, and its light is different. It does not shine with the familiar, friendly yellow-white of our sun. This star burns with a fierce, brilliant, blue-white light. It is the color of a welder's arc, a color of pure, unadulterated heat. This blue light is a testament to its incredible surface temperature, many times hotter than the surface of our sun. It is the color of power. To be this star is to live a life that is, by cosmic standards, impossibly fast. It is a life lived in a furious, brilliant rush. Our sun, in its placid middle age, sips its fuel. It has been burning hydrogen for nearly 5 billion years and will continue to do so for 5 billion more. It is a slow, steady, patient fire. This giant is not patient. It does not sip its fuel, it gulps it. It tears through its vast reserves of hydrogen with a ferocious appetite. Its immense mass creates a gravitational pressure in its core that is almost unimaginable, driving the engine of nuclear fusion at a rate that is truly astronomical. It is not a candle, it is a bonfire, a raging inferno that consumes everything. It has, in a magnificent, fleeting blaze of glory, feel this immense energy. It pours from the star in a torrent, a stellar wind, a river of charged particles. Streams from its surface, a constant high-energy exhalation that pushes back against the very gas from which it was born. And its light, the searing blue-white ultraviolet radiation, is a force of transformation. It is a sterilizing, ionizing light that travels out into the pristine, neutral hydrogen of the dark universe. Imagine this light striking the calm, cool hydrogen atoms that fill the space around the star. The energy of a single ultraviolet photon is enough to strike the electron from a hydrogen atom to tear it away from its proton. The atom is ionized. The light is a wave of liberation, freeing countless electrons from their atomic homes, creating a growing bubble of hot, transparent plasma around the star. The star is not just shining in the darkness. It is actively remaking the universe around it. It is carving out the first bubble of clarity in the cosmic fog, but this furious existence comes at a cost. The brighter a fire burns, the sooner it exhausts its fuel. While our sun will live for 10 billion years, this magnificent giant will be lucky to survive for 3 million. It is a cosmic lifetime compressed into a geological instant. It is a brilliant, fleeting song in the cosmic silence. A life of ultimate intensity, followed by a sudden, spectacular end. Rest in the awareness of this brief, brilliant life. It is a life without planets, for there has been no time and no material for them to form. It is a life without neighbors. It is a solitary beacon in an ocean of darkness. The next nearest star might be thousands of light years away, its own birth a story still unfolding in a distant cloud. For now, this star is alone. It is the only light in its universe. It knows nothing of the life it will one day make possible. It knows nothing of carbon, or oxygen, or iron. It is a simple creature, made of the universe's two simplest elements, hydrogen and helium. Its life's work is simple: to fuse hydrogen into helium in its core. For a few million years, this is its entire existence. It is a stable, shining, magnificent engine, converting the universe's primordial fuel into pure light and heat. But the fuel will not last forever. In the heart of the star, the hydrogen is running out. The core is slowly filling up with the ash. From this first fire, helium, the engine begins to sputter. The beautiful, stable equilibrium between gravity and light begins to falter. The star, which has lived its entire life in a furious rush, is about to enter its final act. An act of even greater power and even greater creation. This star was born to die. Its short, furious life is not a waste. It is a sacrifice. It is a necessary step in the cosmic journey. For locked within its simple, primordial nature is a secret. It holds the key to creating the elements of complexity, the atoms that will one day form planets, and trees, and you. What happens when a star of such immense size runs out of its primary fuel? What new fire is lit in its core, and what new, wondrous substances are forged in that fire? We left our lonely giant star at the end of its brief and brilliant youth. Its life, a fleeting song in the cosmic silence, had reached a turning point. The hydrogen fuel in its core was exhausted, replaced by a dense sphere of helium ash. The perfect balance between gravity and light had begun to fail. And so we asked, what happens when a star of such immense size runs out of its primary fuel? What new fire is lit in its core, and what new, wondrous substances are forged in that fire? The answer is the beginning of your own story. The story of the atoms that make you, with the hydrogen fusion fire extinguished. The outward push of radiation pressure from the core ceases. The star's heart, which had been held in a state of perfect equilibrium, now has nothing to support it against the colossal weight of the star's outer layers. Gravity, the patient, relentless force that built this star, now becomes its executioner. The helium core begins to collapse. Feel this renewed compression. The star that had found its balance is now thrown into a new crisis. The helium ash, the remnants of the first fire, is squeezed mercilessly. As the core collapses, its temperature and pressure skyrocket once again, reaching levels far beyond what was needed for hydrogen fusion. The temperature climbs past 100 million degrees. At this incredible temperature, a new kind of magic becomes possible. The helium nuclei, each made of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, are moving with such violent energy that they can overcome their mutual electrical repulsion. In a process of beautiful cosmic choreography, 3 helium nuclei collide in just the right way, at just the right instant. They fuse, and in that moment of fusion, a new element is born. An atom with 6 protons and 6 neutrons. An atom of carbon. Let that sink in. The carbon that is the backbone of every cell in your body, the fundamental building block of all known life, was forged for the first time in a moment just like this, in the heart of a dying, giant star. You are listening to the story of your own origins. The ignition of helium fusion is a powerful, explosive event. It is a new fire, a new lease on life for the star. A new wave of energy pushes outward from the core, halting the collapse and causing the star's outer layers to swell dramatically. The star expands into a colossal red supergiant, its blue-white heat giving way to a cooler, deeper red. It is a wounded giant, but its heart is burning with a new and creative fire. For a time, the star is stable again, fusing helium into carbon, but this stage is even shorter than the first. The helium fuel is consumed even more rapidly than the hydrogen. Soon, the core is filled with a new kind of ash, carbon. And the cycle repeats. The helium fire dies. The carbon core, now unsupported, collapses under its own immense weight. The pressure and temperature climb to even more astronomical heights of millions of degrees. The carbon atoms, which were the final product of the last fire, now become the fuel for the next. They fuse with other helium nuclei, creating an element with 8 protons and 8 neutrons. Oxygen, the oxygen that you are breathing now, that fills your lungs with every slow, steady breath, was born in this moment. It was forged in the heart of a star 1,000 times larger than our sun, in a universe that was still young and dark. The star has become a factory. It has become an alchemist, turning the simplest substances into the building blocks of complexity. It has developed a structure like an onion. At its very center, the newest, hottest fire rages. Surrounding that is a layer of the ash from that fire, which is itself collapsing and heating to become the next fuel. And so on, outwards. Let your awareness drift through these layers. In the very center, the star is now fusing neon into magnesium. In a shell surrounding that, silicon is being created. Further out, a shell of oxygen is burning. Beyond that, a shell of carbon, then a shell of helium, and finally, in the vast, bloated outer envelope of the star, a thin shell of hydrogen is still burning, a faint memory of the star's youth. Each layer is a different furnace, a different forge, creating a different element. The star is a nested set of Russian dolls, each one containing a hotter, denser, more exotic reality. It is in these layers that the elements of life are cooked. Sodium, magnesium, silicon, sulfur, the elements that make up the rocks of our world, the minerals in your bones, the salt in your blood. All are being synthesized, layer by layer, in the heart of this dying giant. The process accelerates with each new stage. The hydrogen burning phase lasted for a few million years. The helium burning phase, a few 100,000. The carbon burning phase lasts only a few centuries. The oxygen burning phase, a matter of months. And the final stage, the burning of silicon, lasts for less than a day. In the final, frantic 24 hours of its life, the star's core is a chaotic inferno where silicon atoms are smashed together to create the final elements of the fusion chain, culminating in the most stable element of all, an atom with 26 protons. An atom of iron. Iron is the end of the line. Every fusion reaction up to this point, from hydrogen to helium, from carbon to silicon, has released energy. It has created the outward pressure that holds back the relentless crush of gravity. But fusing iron does not release energy. It consumes it. The iron nucleus is so perfectly stable, so tightly bound, that to force it to fuse into something heavier requires you to put energy in. It is a fire that takes more heat than it gives. It is a final, cosmic dead end. So, as the star's core fills with iron, its engine does not just sputter. It dies completely. In the final moments of its life, the star has created a dense, inert ball of pure iron at its heart. The one thing that can offer no resistance to gravity. The star has finished its great work of creation. It has taken the simple, primordial gas of the Big Bang and forged it into the rich, complex palette of elements that will one day make everything you have ever known possible. The carbon in your muscles, the oxygen in your breath, the calcium in your teeth, the iron in your blood, all of it was created here, in this magnificent, layered, dying star. You are, in the most literal sense, made of stardust, recycled starlight. You are listening to the memory of your own atoms being born. But the story is not over. These precious, life-giving elements are trapped, locked away in the core of a dying star. For them to build new worlds, for them to find their way to you, they must first be set free. The star's final act is not one of creation, but of liberation. What happens in the instant that the iron core, with no fire to support it, finally succumbs to the crushing force of the star's own gravity? We left our story in the final, silent, terrible moment of a Titan's life. The great Starforge had completed its work, its heart now a dense, inert ball of iron ash. The fires were dead, the outward push of light had ceased, and gravity, the patient architect and relentless executioner, was poised for its final victory. We held our breath and asked, what happens in the instant that the iron core, with no fire to support it, finally succumbs to the crushing force of the star's own gravity? The answer is the most violent and creative event in the universe. The answer is a supernova. In less than a second, the iron core, a sphere the size of our Earth but with the mass of 1.5 suns, collapses. It is not a slow settling, it is a catastrophic implosion. The force of gravity is so immense. so absolute that it shatters the very structure of the atoms themselves. Feel this final, terrifying compression. The iron nuclei are squeezed together with unimaginable force. A powerful quantum law, the same law that keeps the electrons in an atom in their separate shells, has been holding the core up until this point. But gravity, in this final moment, is stronger. It overwhelms this quantum pressure. The electrons, with nowhere left to go, are crushed directly into the protons of the iron nuclei. An electron and a proton, when forced together, become a neutron. In this process, a tiny ghost-like particle is released. A neutrino. In an instant, the entire iron core is transformed. It becomes a seething, impossibly dense ball of pure neutrons, packed together as tightly as in an atomic nucleus. The core, once the size of a planet, has shrunk to a sphere no larger than a city, perhaps only 20 kilometers across. It has become a proton-neutron star. A single teaspoon of this substance would weigh more than all the mountains on Earth combined. It is the densest matter in the known universe, and at this point, something incredible happens. The collapse stops. It stops because the neutrons refuse to be crushed any further. A new quantum force, a powerful repulsion between neutrons packed this tightly, asserts itself. The core, which was falling inward at a quarter of the speed of light, does not just stop, it bounces. The entire city-sized ball of neutron matter rebounds, like a perfectly compressed spring. Now, picture the rest of the star. The vast outer layers, the shells of silicon, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, thousands of times the mass of our sun were. In the process of falling inward, chasing the collapsing core. They are a tidal wave of matter, an avalanche of cosmic proportions, crashing down towards the center, and they collide head-on with the rebounding neutron core. The impact is the most powerful collision imaginable. A shock wave of colossal energy is born. It is a wall of pure force and heat that turns and begins to travel outwards, back through the infalling layers of the star. Its mission is to tear the star apart, but the star is immense. The infalling matter is dense and heavy. The shock wave, for a moment, begins to stall. It pushes with all its might, but the sheer weight of the star is too much. It seems the explosion might fail, that the star might collapse into a black hole, trapping all of its precious, newly forged elements forever. This is where the ghosts save the day. The neutrinos, remember them. The tiny, ghost-like particles released when the core was crushed into neutrons. In that fraction of a second, an unimaginable number of them were created. 10 times the number of particles in the entire visible universe. For a few seconds, this single, dying star releases more neutrinos than all the other stars in the cosmos combined. Neutrinos barely interact with anything. Trillions of them are passing through your body right now, having traveled from the sun, and you feel nothing. But here, in the hyperdense, superheated plasma behind the stalling shockwave, even a neutrino can find something to push against. The flood of neutrinos, a torrent of pure energy streaming from the neutron core, slams into the plasma behind the shockwave. They deposit their energy, reheating and re-energizing the blast. They give the shockwave the second wind it needs, and the shockwave is reborn. It erupts with renewed fury, and this time, nothing can stop it. It tears through the infalling layers of the star like a thunderclap of creation. The star explodes in a single, brilliant flash. It becomes brighter than a billion suns, brighter than the entire galaxy it inhabits. If this supernova were to happen in our own galaxy, it would be visible during the day, a new and brilliant star in the sky, outshining the moon at night. It is a beacon of death and creation that shines across the universe. This is the first supernova, the first time the universe has witnessed such a magnificent act of self-destruction. But it is not just an explosion, it is a gift. As the shockwave rips through the star's layers, the heat and pressure are more intense than anything that happened during the star's life. In this fleeting, violent moment, a new kind of alchemy occurs. Iron nuclei are bombarded with a dense flood of neutrons. They capture them, growing heavier and heavier, creating elements that fusion could never forge: gold and silver, platinum and lead, uranium and mercury. All the precious, heavy elements of the universe are born in these few seconds, in the heart of this titanic explosion. They are the children of the supernova itself, and then the star's gift is given. The explosion hurls all of it, the carbon, the oxygen, the silicon, the iron, and the newly born gold and uranium out into the darkness of interstellar space. The elements of life and the elements of worlds, once trapped in the star's heart, are now liberated. They are seeded into the cosmos. Feel this shockwave of creation expanding outwards. It is a ripple of potential, a wave of enrichment traveling through the primordial hydrogen gas of the young universe. It is a vast, glowing, intricate cloud of new possibilities. This is a supernova remnant. It is the beautiful, expanding ghost of the star that was. For thousands of years, this remnant will expand, mixing its precious cargo with the surrounding gas clouds. The universe is no longer simple. It is no longer just hydrogen and helium. It is now seeded with the ingredients for complexity. The patient work of the star and the violent generosity of its death have changed everything. The stage is now set for a new kind of creation, a creation that uses these new, heavier elements. The next generation of stars will be born from these enriched clouds, and around them, for the first time, planets can form from the silicon and iron, and on those planets, life can emerge from the carbon and oxygen. The star's death was not an end. It was the beginning of a new and far richer story, a story of planets, of life, of consciousness, a story that leads directly to you, resting here, now. You are the legacy of this first, magnificent explosion. What happens to these enriched clouds? As they drift and mix in the dark, guided by the invisible scaffolding of the cosmic web, how do they begin to gather, to form the first true galaxies we would recognize? We left our story in the wake of a magnificent explosion, the ghost of a giant star expanding into the primordial dark. Its gift of carbon, oxygen, iron, and gold was seeding the cosmos, enriching the simple hydrogen clouds with new potential. And we asked, what happens to these enriched clouds? As they drift and mix in the dark, guided by the invisible scaffolding of the cosmic web, how do they begin to gather, to form the first true galaxies we would recognize? The answer begins with the slow, patient work of cooling and mixing. Feel the shock wave from the supernova lose its initial fury. Over thousands of years, it expands and slows. its energy dissipating into the vastness of space. It is no longer a violent blast, but a vast, intricate, and beautiful nebula supernova remnant. It is a delicate filigree of glowing gas, a celestial smoke ring threaded with the heavy elements forged in the star's life and death. This cloud is different from the primordial clouds that came before it. It is seasoned. It is enriched. The presence of carbon and oxygen, even in tiny amounts, fundamentally changes its character. These heavier elements are like skilled hands that know how to knit the fabric of the cloud together. They are far more efficient at radiating away heat than simple hydrogen ever was. As the cloud cools, something new begins to happen. The carbon, oxygen, and silicon atoms begin to find each other in the cold. They stick together, forming tiny, microscopic grains of dust. Think of it as the first soot, the first sand, the first motes of solid matter in the universe. This is a monumental step. The universe is no longer just a gas. It now has substance. It has texture. This dust is a powerful coolant. The fine grains act like tiny radiators, absorbing the heat from the surrounding gas and emitting it as gentle infrared light, allowing the cloud to cool down much faster and to a much lower temperature than was ever possible before. The gift of the first star was not just the elements themselves, but the ability for future clouds to cool, to condense, and to collapse with far greater ease. Now, let your awareness drift back to the grand architecture of the cosmos, the invisible scaffolding of the cosmic web. Remember the great dark matter halos, the deep wells of gravity sitting at the intersections of the filaments. These are the cradles of creation, the places where the first star was born. And they are still there, their immense gravity patiently waiting the enriched cloud from our supernova, with its precious cargo of new elements and dust, is caught in this gravitational tide. It is being drawn back towards the very same dark matter halo that nurtured its parent star. But it is not alone. The first star was not a singular event. In the same cosmic neighborhood, other giant stars were also being born, living their short, furious lives, and dying in their own spectacular explosions. So, the gas flowing into this dark matter halo is now a mixture. It is a blend of pristine hydrogen from the voids and the enriched, dusty remnants of several supernova. If the universe is recycling itself, it is taking the ashes of its first children and using them to build the next generation. Feel yourself at the heart of this gathering. You are inside a vast, churning cloud, much like the one that formed the first star, but this one is different. It is richer. It is more complex. And because it can cool so efficiently, it does not need to be as massive to begin collapsing. It fragments instead of one single, monolithic cloud collapsing to form one supergiant star. This new, enriched cloud shatters into hundreds, or even thousands, of smaller, denser cores. A new era of star formation has begun. And from these cores, a new generation of stars is born. These are the second-generation stars. They are not the pure, massive titans of the first dawn. They are smaller, more varied. Some are still large and blue, but others are more like our own suns, smaller yellow, and destined to live for billions of years. They are born with a silver spoon in their mouths, inheriting the carbon, oxygen, and iron from their ancestors. This flurry of starbirth, happening deep within the dark matter halo, creates the first true celestial object we might call a galaxy. But do not picture the grand, majestic spiral of our own Milky Way. Not yet. These first galaxies are small, messy, chaotic things. They are called proto-galaxies. Imagine them as ethereal islands in the vast, dark ocean of space. They are ghostly swirls of gas, dust, and newborn stars. They have no elegant spiral arms, no defined central bulge. They are clumpy and irregular, like a handful of glowing sand thrown against a black velvet cloth. They are collections of star-forming regions, all loosely bound by the gravity of their shared dark matter halo. These are the first neighborhoods in the universe. They are small, intimate communities of stars, living and dying, enriching the gas around them, triggering new waves of star formation. The light from these proto-galaxies is a flickering, collective glow, the combined light of thousands of young, hot stars, all shining through a veil of gas and dust. Let your awareness drift through one of these proto-galaxies. It is a dynamic, violent, and beautiful place. Young blue stars illuminate the clouds around them, creating pockets of brilliant pink and red light. The remnants of recent supernova are expanding, their shockwaves crashing into nearby gas clouds, compressing them and triggering the birth of new stars. It is a self-sustaining ecosystem of creation, and it is in these chaotic, dusty nurseries that the next great step becomes possible. The dust and heavy elements, swirling around the newborn second-generation stars, begin to clump together. They form spinning disks of debris. And in these disks, over millions of years, the dust grains stick to form pebbles. The pebbles collide to form rocks. The rocks merge to form planetesimals, and the planetesimals gather to become the first planets. Rocky, terrestrial worlds, made of the silicon and iron gifted by that first supernova. The universe has learned to build homes, but these proto-galaxies, these little islands of light, are not destined to remain isolated. The cosmic web is a network of flowing rivers, and these galaxies are like boats caught in its current. They are drifting, and in the grand architecture of the cosmos, the rivers all flow towards each other. What happens when these ghostly swirls, these first neighborhoods of stars, begin to feel each other's gravitational pull? What happens when two islands in the cosmic ocean begin their slow, graceful, inevitable drift towards a collision? We left our story on the edge of a great cosmic dance with the first proto-galaxies, those ghostly islands of light, beginning to feel each other's gravitational pull across the dark. Their inevitable drift towards one another promised a future of mergers and growth. But before we witness that grand collision, we must first address the darkness itself. The light from these new stellar neighborhoods has a great and urgent project to complete. It must clear the fog. Let your awareness expand outwards from the flickering, chaotic light of a single proto-galaxy. Feel its collective glow, the light of thousands of young stars pushing against the immense, ancient darkness. Now drift into the space between the galaxies, into the vast intergalactic medium here, in the great voids and along the thinner filaments of the cosmic web. The universe is still filled with a fine, neutral mist of hydrogen gas. It is the same primordial fog that has dominated the cosmos since the last light of the Big Bang faded. This fog is opaque. It is a cosmic curtain that absorbs and scatters the fierce ultraviolet light of the young stars. Imagine standing in the thickest of fogs on a coastline. You might see the faint, diffuse glow of a distant lighthouse, but you cannot see the sharp, brilliant beam of its lamp. The light is there, but it is trapped, its journey cut short by the mist. This is the state of the young universe. The first galaxies are shining, but their light is contained, their view of each other obscured by the vast, intervening ocean of neutral hydrogen. The universe has lit its lamps, but it has not yet lifted its veil. The great work of this era, the epoch of reionization, is to do just that. Return now to a single, hot, blue star, one of the second-generation stars, burning brightly within a proto-galaxy. Its light, as we have felt, is a torrent of high energy. Ultraviolet photons. As this light streams away from the star, it travels only a short distance before it encounters an atom of the neutral hydrogen fog. The photon strikes the atom's lone electron, and with its immense energy, knocks it free. The atom is no longer neutral. It is ionized. It has become a free proton and a free electron, and in that state, it is transparent and ionized hydrogen. Atom no longer has the ability to absorb a high-energy photon. The light can now pass straight through. In this one tiny, microscopic spot, the fog has cleared. Now multiply this by the trillions. The star is a fountain of light, and it is carving out a bubble of transparency in the fog around it. It is like a single, hot bulb in a vast, cold warehouse filled with mist, slowly burning away the vapor in its immediate vicinity, creating a sphere of clear air. Feel this process happening. It is a quiet, persistent, and relentless work. Every star in every proto-galaxy is doing the same thing. Each one is creating its own bubble of clarity. Inside these bubbles, the universe is transparent. Outside, the fog remains thick and opaque. At first, these bubbles are small and isolated, like tiny pockets of air in a vast ocean of water. They are the first holes in the cosmic curtain. But the stars continue to shine, and the bubbles continue to grow. They expand outwards. The frontier between the clear plasma and the neutral fog pushed back by the constant stream of light. And as the bubbles grow, they begin to meet. Imagine two neighboring stars, each diligently clearing its own patch of fog. As their bubbles of transparency expand, they eventually touch. They merge. What was once two small, clear spheres becomes one larger, elongated region of clarity. The fog has been pushed back on a grander scale. Now, scale this up to the level of a proto-galaxy. A single proto-galaxy contains thousands of these young, hot stars. It is not just one bubble, but a superbubble, a vast, sprawling, irregular region of transparency carved out by the collective light of the entire stellar community. The first islands of light are becoming islands of clarity. Let your awareness drift through this changing landscape. It is a universe of profound contrasts. You can float from a region of perfect, transparent plasma, where you can see the distant light of other stars within the bubble, directly into a soft, opaque wall of neutral hydrogen fog, where all light vanishes. The universe is a cosmic Swiss cheese, a foam of expanding, intersecting bubbles of clear space in a sea of primordial mist, for hundreds of millions of years. This battle rages. The light pushes outwards, ionizing the fog. But the universe is also a place of recombination. A free proton and a free electron can find each other in the cold and recombine to form a neutral hydrogen atom again. creating a tiny patch of new fog. It is a cosmic tug-of-war between the light that clears and the physics that restores the mist. But the light has an advantage. The proto-galaxies are not static. As we felt at the end of our last chapter, they are moving. They are gathering. The great rivers of the cosmic web are drawing them together into larger and larger groups. As the galaxies cluster, their light combines. Their individual bubbles of reionization merge into vast, interconnected channels of transparency. The process reaches a tipping point. Enough of the fog has been cleared that the bubbles link up on a cosmic scale. The small islands of clarity become continents. The continents connect to form a global network. The light from one galaxy can now travel unimpeded for millions of light years across the voids, to be seen by another. The view is opening up. The cosmic curtain is rising. Feel the universe around you becoming transparent. The mist parts not all at once but in a slow, majestic reveal. For the first time, the true breathtaking scale of the cosmos is laid bare. The grand, luminous filaments of the cosmic web, traced by the light of countless galaxies, are now visible, stretching across the sky. The vast dark voids between them are revealed in their profound emptiness. The universe can finally see itself. This is a profound transformation, not just of the physical universe, but of its very character. It is a transition from a disconnected, parochial cosmos, where each galaxy lived in its own foggy neighborhood, to a connected, cosmopolitan one. It is the dawn of the age of communication, where light can travel the cosmic highways, carrying information about its source across immense distances. Rest in this newly transparent universe. The light is no longer a prisoner, it is a traveler. The story of a distant galaxy, written in its starlight, can now begin its billion-year journey towards the future, towards the telescopes that will one day be built by beings made of the very elements forged in these stars. The great fog has been lifted. The universe is now filled with a hot, thin, transparent plasma, a state it will remain in for the rest of its long life. The view is clear, but what new structures, what new beings, are revealed in this new light? And at the very heart of these first bright galaxies is something else growing in the dark, an anchor of gravity that has been patiently waiting for the universe to mature. We left our story in a newly transparent universe. The great cosmic fog had been lifted by the collective light of the first galaxies, revealing the true, breathtaking scale of creation. The view was clear, and we were left with a question, a quiet curiosity that pulled our focus from the vastness of space to the very center of one of these new islands of light. What new structures are revealed? And at the very heart of these first bright galaxies is something else growing in the dark, an anchor of gravity that has been patiently waiting for the universe to mature. The answer is yes. Something has been growing, something that does not shine, something that consumes light rather than creating it. At the gravitational center of our chaotic, swirling proto-galaxy, a new kind of object is taking shape. It is a seed of pure gravity. A black hole. Let your awareness drift from the bright, flickering star fields at the galaxy's edge and move towards its dense, churning core. The number of stars increases, the gas clouds are thicker, the light is more intense. But at the very center, the place where the gravitational pull is strongest, there is a point of profound and perfect darkness. This is not the gentle, potential-filled darkness of the universe before the first stars. This is an active, hungry darkness. It is a point of such immense density that gravity, the familiar force that holds you to your bed, has become absolute. It has bent space and time into a knot from which nothing can escape. How was such a thing born? The universe, in its ingenuity, had several possible paths. Perhaps one of the first, truly massive stars, a titan 1,000 times the mass of our sun, did not explode in a glorious supernova. Perhaps it was so massive that when its core collapsed, nothing could stop it. The rebound failed, the shock waves stalled, and the entire star, with all its newly forged elements, imploded completely, vanishing from the universe in an instant, leaving behind only its gravity. A black hole with the mass of 1,000 suns. Or perhaps the universe skipped the star-making step altogether. Imagine, in the very deepest part of the dark matter halo, a vast, primordial cloud of hydrogen gas. A cloud so massive and so pure that it did not fragment into thousands of smaller stars. Instead, the entire cloud, 1,000,000 times the mass of the sun, collapsed directly, catastrophically, under its own weight, forming a black hole in a single, silent, magnificent event. Either way, the seed is planted. Feel its presence. It is not a hole in the sense of being an empty void. It is the opposite. It is a point of ultimate fullness, of matter compressed to a state of infinite density. What you perceive is its boundary, its line of no return. This is the event horizon. Imagine it as a perfect black sphere, hanging in the heart of the galaxy. It is a one-way door in the fabric of space-time. Anything that crosses this threshold, a stray wisp of gas, a wandering star, even a beam of light, can never come back out. Its fate is to be added to the mass at the center, but do not picture this as a violent, cosmic vacuum cleaner, sucking in everything around it. In these early days, its growth is quiet. It is patient. The gas and dust at the heart of the proto-galaxy are dense and chaotic. As clouds collide and stars jostle, some of this material loses its momentum. It drifts too close. It spirals inwards, like water circling a drain, and crosses the event horizon. With every atom of gas it swallows, with every dust grain it consumes, the black hole's mass increases, and as its mass increases, its gravity grows stronger, and as its gravity grows stronger, its event horizon expands. The seed is sprouting. This quiet, steady feeding is the black hole's work. It is an engine of growth, powered by the chaos of the young galaxy around it. It is slowly, steadily, cleaning up the galactic core, consuming the messences and converting it into pure, focused gravity. This is the anchor. Before the black hole seed grew, the stars and the protogalaxy moved in haphazard, chaotic orbits, influenced by the general diffused pull of the dark matter halo and their neighboring stars. But now, there is a true center. A single, dominant point of gravity. Feel the shift in the galaxy's motion. The orbits of the stars and gas clouds closest to the center begin to change. They are no longer random. They become more orderly, more circular, settling into a gravitational rhythm dictated by this new, central mass. The black hole is a silent conductor, and the heart of the galaxy is beginning to learn the steps to its dance. This process is slow, taking millions of years, but it is inexorable. The black hole's influence expands outwards. It is imposing order on the chaos. It is the silent, steady heart around which the galaxy will eventually learn to organize itself. The messy, clumpy proto-galaxy is taking the first steps towards becoming a grand, structured spiral or a smooth, elegant elliptical galaxy. It is growing up, and the black hole is the steadying hand guiding its maturation. Rest now in the presence of this quiet, growing power. It is a beautiful paradox. The brightest, most active regions of star formation in the galaxy are feeding the darkest, most mysterious object within it. The creation of light is fueling the growth of a perfect darkness, and that darkness, in turn, is providing the stability, the gravitational anchor, that will allow the galaxy to have a long and structured life. The universe is building ecosystems on a galactic scale, with a profound and beautiful balance between light and dark, creation and consumption. These seeds of darkness are not rare. It seems that every proto-galaxy, in its own way, grows one. They are a fundamental part of galactic evolution. Every island of light in the newly transparent universe is nurturing a dark heart, and these islands are still drifting. The cosmic rivers are still flowing. The gravitational pull between neighboring galaxies is growing stronger. What happens when two of these proto-galaxies, each with its own community of stars, its own clouds of gas, and its own central supermassive black hole seed, finally meet? What new dance begins when these two silent gravitational hearts begin to feel each other's presence across the shrinking void? Our story paused on the brink of a cosmic rendezvous. We were watching two islands of light, two proto-galaxies, drifting through the transparent universe. Each was a chaotic swirl of stars and gas, and each nurtured a dark, quiet, harder-growing black hole seed. The gravitational rivers of the cosmic web were pulling them together, and we were left to wonder, what new dance begins when these two silent gravitational hearts begin to feel each other's presence across the shrinking void? The dance is a waltz. A gravitational waltz of immense scale and unimaginable grace. A dance that takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. Let your awareness pull back to see both galaxies in a single view. They are still separate, to ghostly smudges of light against the black. But they are now close enough that their outer halos of dark matter have begun to interpenetrate, to touch. They cannot see or feel each other in the way we do, but they can feel each other's gravity. It is a subtle, insistent pull, a whisper across the dark that says, "You are not alone." The dance begins. Pulled by their mutual gravity, the two galaxies begin to orbit a common center of mass, like two dancers circling each other in a grand ballroom before they touch. The first pass is distant. They swing by one another, their paths bending in sweeping, elegant arcs. They do not collide, not yet, but they are changed forever by this first encounter. Feel the tidal forces at work. As one galaxy sweeps past the other, its gravity pulls more strongly on the near side of its partner than on the far side. This differential pull stretches the galaxies. They are distorted, pulled out of their clumpy, irregular shapes. Great sweeping arcs of stars and gas are drawn out from them, forming long, luminous filaments that trail behind them in space. These are tidal tails. Imagine taking two balls of soft dough and swinging them past each other, even without touching. Their gravity would stretch them, pulling them into elongated shapes. The galaxies are like this dough, their forms malleable, sculpted by the invisible hands of gravity. They are painting the darkness with their own stars, creating vast, temporary bridges of light between them. After their first close pass, they swing apart again, moving back out into the darkness, but they cannot escape. Their dance has bound them together. They slow down, pulled back by the gravitational bond, and begin their long, slow fall back towards each other for a second pass. This time, they are closer. The waltz becomes more intimate. As they sweep past each other, their outer regions begin to collide. This is not a collision of solid objects. Stars are tiny points of light in a vast emptiness. The chances of two individual stars colliding are almost zero. Instead, the stars of one galaxy pass harmlessly through the stars of the other, like two swarms of fireflies intermingling in the night. But the gas clouds are different. They are vast, diffuse, and sprawling. When the gas clouds of one galaxy meet the gas clouds of the other, they do not pass through, they collide. They slam into each other, creating vast shock waves that ripple through the merging system. This collision of gas is a moment of spectacular creation. The shock waves compress the gas, squeezing it to incredible densities, triggering a furious burst of new star formation. The merging galaxies light up. In the regions where the clouds collide, thousands of new, hot, blue stars are born in a brilliant flash, illuminating the scene of the cosmic union. This is a starburst. The galaxies are not just merging. They are celebrating their union with a spectacular display of fireworks. Let your awareness drift through this chaotic, beautiful scene. The two galaxies are no longer distinct. They are a single, tangled, messy object, threaded with bright blue knots of newborn stars and glowing pink nebulae. The elegant tidal tails from the first pass now wrap around the merging core, creating a complex and breathtaking structure. And what of the two dark hearts? The two supermassive black holes. As the galaxies merge, the black holes, which were once the undisputed centers of their own domains, now feel a new and powerful rival. They too are caught in the gravitational waltz. They sink towards the center of the new, larger galaxy, shedding their orbital energy by flinging away nearby stars in a process called dynamical friction. They are clearing a path for their own inevitable rendezvous. They begin to orbit each other. 2 points of perfect darkness, 2 seeds of pure gravity, locked in a final, tightening spiral. They are the still, silent center of the chaotic starburst. All around them, while the gas clouds crash and the stars are born, the two black holes perform their own quiet, powerful dance, their orbits shrinking with every pass. The merger of the galaxies is nearing its end. Over hundreds of millions of years, the chaotic motions settle down. The tidal tails are pulled back in by gravity, their stars absorbed into the new, larger object. The furious burst of star formation consumes much of the available gas, and then fades. The messy, tangled structure gradually relaxes into a new, more stable shape. What was once too small, irregular protogalaxies, has now become a single, larger, and more mature galaxy. It might be a grand elliptical galaxy, a smooth, glowing ball of older, redder stars, its gas consumed in the merger-induced starburst. Or, if enough gas remains and settles into a stable disk, it might begin to form the first, fragile spiral arms. This is how galaxies grow. Not by quiet, solitary evolution, but by coming together, by merging, by uniting. Our own Milky Way is the product of countless such mergers over billions of years. It is a vast cosmic metropolis built from the remnants of smaller towns and villages that were drawn together by the patient, inexorable pull of gravity. The dance is over. A new, larger galaxy has been born. But at its very heart, the two black holes are now just moments away from their own final union. Their waltz is in its last, frantic bars. What happens when these two ultimate objects, these 2 points of infinite density, finally touch and become one? What final whisper or shout does their union send out into the cosmos? Our story paused in the heart of a new galaxy, born from the union of two smaller ones. The great dance was over, but at its center, two supermassive black holes were locked in a final, frantic spiral. And we asked, what final whisper or shout does their union send out into the cosmos? The final whisper is not one of light. As the 2 points of infinite density merge into one, they do not create a flash or a bang. They create a tremor in the very fabric of reality. They send out a powerful, silent ripple in space-time itself. A gravitational wave. It is a vibration of pure gravity, expanding outwards at the speed of light, carrying the news of their union. It is the most profound and quiet announcement imaginable, a final, shuddering sigh from the heart of the new galaxy. But while the black holes send their silent message, the galaxy itself is shouting with light. The light from the starburst, the brilliant blue glow of thousands of newborn stars, streams away into the newly transparent universe. This light is a postcard. It carries the image, the memory, of this moment, the chaotic beauty of the merger, the swirling tidal tales, the furious creation of new suns. This light begins a journey, the longest and most solitary journey imaginable. Let your awareness attach itself to a single photon of light born in that starburst. You are a packet of pure energy, a brilliant blue-white, and you have just been launched into the cosmic ocean. Your journey will last for more than 13 billion years. As you travel, the universe around you is changing. It is growing. The great cosmic expansion, which began with the Big Bang, has never stopped. The space between the galaxies is constantly, steadily stretching. Imagine the fabric of space as a vast, dark, elastic sheet. Your journey is a straight line across this sheet. But as you travel, someone is stretching the sheet itself. The journey becomes longer than you expected. And the wave of light that you are is stretched along with it. Feel this happening to you. Your wavelength, the very measure of your color and energy, is being elongated by the expansion of space. You began your journey as a high-energy photon with a short, energetic wavelength. But as space stretches, your wavelength is pulled. Like a note of music being lowered in pitch, your brilliant blue fades to a cooler white. The white warms to a gentle yellow, the color of a star like our own sun. Millennia pass in an instant. The yellow deepens to a soft orange. The orange bleeds into a deep, weary red. You are losing energy, not because you are tired in a human sense, but because your energy is being given over to the expansion of the universe itself. You are being redshifted. Your light is becoming a memory. Its color a measure of the immense distance it has traveled. While you are on this journey, the universe is living its life. The galaxy you left behind continues its story. It will merge with other galaxies. Its stars will grow old. its black hole will grow to a colossal size. It will become a mature, quiet galaxy, utterly unrecognizable from the chaotic starburst you remember. In another corner of the cosmos, a cloud of enriched gas, perhaps seeded by a supernova much like the ones we have witnessed, will collapse. A new star will be born, an unremarkable, yellow, third-generation star. Around it, a disk of dust and rock will form a small, blue planet. On that planet, in its warm oceans, life will begin. It will evolve, grow complex, and one day, a conscious being will emerge from that stardust, look up at the sky, and wonder where it all came from. Your journey is oblivious to all of this. You travel through the vast, dark voids, past great clusters of galaxies that have formed long after you began your flight. You are an ancient messenger, carrying a story from a time that the universe has long since forgotten, and then, after 13 billion years of travel, your journey ends. You arrive at your destination. You streak into the solar system of that unremarkable yellow star, past the blue planet, and are caught. You are collected by a mirror, a great, technological eye built by those conscious beings, an eye called Hubble or Webb. Your journey ends in an instant, as your faint, reddened energy is absorbed by a digital detector. You are not alone. You are one of countless photons, all carrying the same ancient story, that have been collected by this great telescope. Together, you paint a picture. But what is the picture of? It is not the mature, quiet galaxy that exists today. It is a picture of the galaxy you left behind 13 billion years ago. It is a ghost, a photograph from the deep past. The astronomers who see this image do not see a grand, elliptical galaxy. They see a messy, chaotic, clumpy object, glowing with the telltale signs of a starburst. They see the faint, ghostly outlines of tidal tails. They see a protogalaxy in the violent, beautiful act of merging. They see the postcard you have carried all this way. Your color tells them how long you have been traveling. By measuring how much your light has been stretched, how deep your redshift is, they can calculate the distance to your home. They can place your story in its proper time, in the era of the cosmic dawn. This is how we know this story. We know it because we can see it. When we point our greatest telescopes to the farthest reaches of the universe, we are not just looking out in space. We are looking back in time. We are seeing these first galaxies as they were, their ancient, reddened light finally reaching our eyes, telling a story of what once was. And in this field of distant, ghostly galaxies, we see something familiar. We see the ancestors of everything we know. What story do we read in this ancient light about our own cosmic home? When we look back at the dawn of time, can we see the faint, flickering beginnings of our very own Milky Way? We ended our last chapter looking through the eyes of our greatest telescopes, peering back in time at a field of distant, ghostly galaxies. Their ancient, reddened light carried stories of a universe just beginning to shine. And in that field of ancestors, we were left with a final, personal question. What story do we read in this ancient light about our own cosmic home? When we look back at the dawn of time, can we see the faint, flickering beginnings of our very own Milky Way? The answer is written between the lines of light. We cannot point to a single, distant smudge and say with certainty, there, that is home. The universe is too vast, and its history too tangled. but we can do something just as profound. By studying the countless protogalaxies of that era, we can piece together the story of our own cosmic family tree. We can see the kinds of galaxies that would, one day, come together to build the grand spiral we now inhabit. Our galaxy is not a single, monolithic entity that has existed forever. It is a sprawling, composite creation. The Milky Way is a metropolis built from the stones of 100 smaller towns and villages. A river formed from the merging of 1,000 tiny streams. And in the light of the cosmic dawn, we can see those streams as they were at their source. Let your awareness settle on one of these distant, clumpy, irregular galaxies. It is small, chaotic, and undergoing a furious burst of star formation, just like the ones we have witnessed. This galaxy is not the Milky Way, but it is a galaxy like the ones that would become the Milky Way. It is one of our ancestors, a great-great-grandparent galaxy, living its life in the young universe. Imagine the stars being born within it. They are second and third generation stars, enriched with the elements gifted by the very first supernova. In their swirling, dusty nurseries, planets are beginning to form. These stars and their nascent planets are the raw materials, the building blocks, of our future home. Now, picture this proto-galaxy, not in isolation, but as part of a larger structure. It belongs to a small collection of galaxies, a gravitationally bound group that is slowly, inevitably, pulling together. This is our local group of galaxies in its infancy. The great gravitational waltz we witnessed in a previous chapter is not a rare event. It is the fundamental process of cosmic construction. Over the next billion years, this small galaxy will merge with its neighbors. It will be pulled into a larger system, its stars and gas clouds intermingling with others, its black hole spiraling towards a new, more massive center. The identity of that small, original galaxy is lost, blended into a new, larger whole. And this new, larger galaxy will continue the dance, merging with others in turn. This is the story of our home, a story of assembly, a story of immigration. Most of the stars in our Milky Way today were not born here. They were born in smaller, independent galaxies that have long since been consumed. They are immigrants, their original homes dissolved into the great river of the galactic disk. When you look up at the night sky, you are looking at the citizens of a city built by countless mergers. Astronomers can see the evidence of this history all around us. They can see the ghosts of these past meals. Stretching across the sky are vast, faint streams of stars, all moving together in a coherent river. These are the remnants of small dwarf galaxies that have been torn apart by the Milky Way's immense gravity. They are the last, faint traces of a tidal tale from a merger that happened billions of years ago. We are seeing the final moments of an ancient dance, its choreography written in streams of stars. And so, when we look back at the light from the cosmic dawn, we are seeing our galaxy in its disassembled state. We are seeing the family reunion before anyone knew they were related. The stars that would one day form our sun's neighborhood were there, scattered across dozens of small, independent protogalaxies, all beginning their long, slow journey towards each other. The atoms that make up your body, forged in those first stellar fires, were on this journey. Some of your carbon may have been born in one protogalaxy, while some of your oxygen was born in another, a million light years away. For billions of years, they traveled through space, were incorporated into new stars, and were flung out again in new supernova, all while their host galaxies drifted closer and closer together. Your existence is the result of a cosmic gathering that took more than 10 billion years to complete. You are the destination of 1,000 different journeys. Rest in this thought. The feeling of home, of belonging, is not something that is confined to a single planet or a single star. It is written on a galactic scale. The very atoms of your being are a testament to this grand cosmic process of coming together. The light from that distant past, the reddened light of distant memory, is therefore the light of our own creation. Story, it shows us the universe when it was young and wild and full of small, bright possibilities. It shows us the seeds from which our great, sprawling home would eventually grow. The flickering beginnings of our own Milky Way are not in one single point of light, but in the collective glow of thousands of them, all destined to one day meet and form the galaxy you are in right now. The journey from that ancient dawn to this present moment has been long and complex, but the connection is direct. The starlight of that first morning is the ancestor of the sunlight that warms your face. The elements forged in that first fire are the elements that animate your body. The story of the universe learning to shine is, in the end, the story of the universe learning to create you. And so, as we come to the end of our long journey back in time, we find ourselves returning to the present. To this room, to this moment, to you. How do we bridge that final gap? How does the iron in a long dead star, 13 billion years ago, become the iron in your blood, flowing quietly as you rest? What is the final, intimate connection between the echo of the cosmic dawn and the quiet, sleeping star that is you? We have come to the end of our long journey through time. We have traveled from a universe of perfect, silent darkness to a cosmos ablaze with the light of galaxies. We have witnessed the birth of stars, the forging of elements, and the slow, graceful dance of cosmic assembly, and we have arrived back in the present, in the quiet of this room, with a final, intimate question hanging in the air. How do we bridge that final gap? How does the iron in a long dead star, 13 billion years ago, become the iron in your blood, flowing quietly as you rest? What is the final, intimate connection between the echo of the cosmic dawn and the quiet, sleeping star that is you? The connection is the story of a second kind of gathering, a smaller, more patient, and more personal assembly. Let your awareness rest on a cloud of gas and dust, drifting through the spiral arm of a mature Milky Way galaxy, about 5 billion years ago. This cloud is not pristine. It is a rich, cosmic broth, seasoned by the lives and deaths of countless generations of stars. It is thick with the carbon and oxygen gifted by red giants, laced with the iron and silicon from ancient supernova, and dusted with the gold and platinum from even more spectacular explosions. It is the inheritance of 13 billion years of cosmic history, all gathered in one place. Within this cloud, a pocket of gas, disturbed perhaps by the shock wave from a nearby supernova, begins to collapse under its own gravity. It is the same story we witnessed at the dawn of time, but with a richer cast of characters. At the center of the collapse, a new star ignites, a modest, stable, yellow star, our sun. The remaining material, less than 1% of the cloud, does not fall into the new star. It settles into a vast, spinning disk around it. A protoplanetary disk. And in this disk, the journey of your atoms takes its next step, the tiny grains of dust. The silicon and iron forged in those first stellar furnaces begin to stick together. Electrostatic forces, like the static cling that makes a balloon stick to your hair, draw them into fluffy aggregates. These grow into pebbles. The pebbles collide to form rocks. The rocks merge into planetesimals, and the planetesimals, through a long and violent process of collision and accretion, gather to become planets. One of these planets, in a perfect, gentle orbit around the new sun, is our Earth. It is a world built from stardust. The ground beneath you, the silicon in the rocks, the iron at its core, all of it is the recycled ash of long-dead stars. Our world was built from the generosity of the cosmos. For a time the Earth is a molten volcanic world, but as it cools, the oxygen, forged in the hearts of ancient giants, combines with hydrogen to form water. It rains for millennia, creating the first oceans. And in these oceans, warmed by the gentle light of the sun and energized by lightning and volcanic vents, the final gathering begins. The carbon atoms, the backbone of life, begin to link together, forming complex, elegant molecules. They are the same carbon atoms that were created in the hearts of stars that died billions of years ago. Here, in the warm, primordial soup of Earth, they learn a new kind of chemistry. They learn to build proteins, to store information, to create membranes. They learn to build life, and the iron atoms find a new purpose. A single atom of iron, forged in the last moments of a star's life, and flung across the galaxy in a supernova, is captured by one of these new living molecules. It becomes the heart of a protein called hemoglobin, and it discovers a new talent. It learns to catch and release oxygen. Feel the iron in your own blood, flowing quietly and steadily through your veins as you rest. Each red blood cell contains millions of hemoglobin molecules, and at the heart of each of those is a single atom of iron. That iron atom is on a journey that began in the heart of a star. It traveled for billions of years, across light years of space, to be gathered into the cloud that formed our sun, to be built into the planet Earth, to be incorporated into the first life, and to be passed down, generation after generation, until it found its way to you, right now. As you breathe in, that iron atom is arriving in your lungs, where it gladly takes hold of an oxygen atom that was also born in a star. It travels through your body, a silent, faithful messenger, and releases that oxygen to a cell in your hand, or your brain, or your heart. It is completing a journey and a purpose that was written into the laws of physics from the very beginning. The connection is not a metaphor, it is your physical reality. You are an echo of the cosmic dawn. The laws of physics that lit the first stars are the same laws that power the mitochondria in your cells, turning the food you eat into the energy that keeps you warm, the gravitational balance that holds a galaxy together is a cousin to the intricate biological balance that maintains the health of your body. The fusion that turns hydrogen into light in the sun's core is the ultimate source of the energy that allows you to have the thought you are having right now, as you drift now. On the edge of sleep, feel this connection in your own body. Feel the quiet, steady rhythm of your heart, a personal, gentle echo of the gravitational pulses that built the first stars. Feel the warmth of your own skin, a soft, biological glow that owes its existence to the nuclear fires of long-dead suns. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breathing, an exchange of ancient star-forged elements with the world around you. The universe, in its immense 13 billion-year journey, has gone from a state of perfect, simple symmetry to one of breathtaking complexity. It learned to build stars, then galaxies, then planets, then life, and then it learned to build a mind that could look back on the journey and begin to understand it, a mind that could feel wonder, a mind that could feel peace. You are the universe's way of knowing itself. You are a quiet, sleeping star, holding the memory of that first, great dawn within every atom of your being. The story of how the galaxies learned to shine is your story. And now, as the story ends, your own quiet, personal darkness is a place, not of emptiness, but of connection. It is the same creative, potential-filled darkness where our story began. Rest in it now. Let the gentle tide of sleep carry you, for you are home. You are, and have always been, a part of the cosmos. And the cosmos is a part of you.